The family group chat exploded at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday. I was in the campus library studying for finals when my phone started buzzing non-stop. Message after message from aunts, uncles, cousins. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry to hear about your grades. Don't worry, Quinn. Lots of people struggle in college. Your mom mentioned you might have to take time off to regroup." My stomach dropped. What was happening? I scrolled up to find the source. Mom's message from 20 minutes earlier. "Family, please keep Quinn in your thoughts. She's having a difficult time at school. Her grades aren't what we hoped, and we're worried about her future. She's struggling more than we expected." I read it 3 times, my vision blurring with rage. I hadn't failed anything. I was on track for a 3.8 gigapascals this semester. I'd made Dean's List both previous semesters. What was she talking about? I called her immediately. She answered cheerfully. "Quinn, how are you, sweetheart? Why did you tell everyone I'm failing?" Silence. "Mom?" "I didn't say you were failing. I said you were struggling. There's a difference." If only she'd known what she'd just started. "I'm not struggling. I'm on Dean's List." "What are you talking about?" Mom's voice got that careful, condescending tone I hated. "Quinn, I know you're stressed. But your advisor called me last week and expressed concerns about your course load and your emotional well-being." "What advisor? Nobody called you." "She said you seemed overwhelmed, that you'd cried in her office." I had cried in my advisor's office, but not because I was failing. I'd cried because I was choosing between 2 amazing summer internship offers and felt overwhelmed by good options. Mom, that conversation was about internships, not grades. She wasn't expressing concern, she was helping me make a decision. Well, I interpreted it as concern. "And I thought the family should know you're having difficulties so they could support you." "By telling them I'm failing when I'm not? How is that supportive?" "Don't be dramatic, Quinn. I'm just trying to help." She hung up. I sat in the library, shaking with fury. My phone kept buzzing with sympathetic messages from relatives. None of them asking if it was true, just accepting Mom's version as fact. I opened a new group chat message and started typing, then stopped. If I denied it now, I'd look defensive. Mom would say I was in denial. The family would think I was delusional about my performance. I needed proof. Undeniable, public proof. And I knew exactly how to get it. This wasn't the first time. Growing up, Mom had a pattern of managing narratives. When I was 12, I won the regional piano competition. Instead of celebrating, she told relatives I'd only won because 2 better students had been sick. When I was 15, I got cast as the lead in the school musical. She told people the director was being charitable because I'd auditioned 5 times. When I got into college with a significant scholarship, she told everyone the school was probably desperate for applicants that year. At first, I thought she was being humble on my behalf. My Aunt Viv even praised her once. "You're so good at keeping Quinn grounded." But my best friend Nora saw it differently. "Your mom can't stand that you're successful," she said bluntly. "She needs you to need her. If you're doing well on your own, where does that leave her?" I didn't want to believe it. But the pattern was undeniable. Every achievement I had, Mom found a way to diminish or reframe as a problem. And now she told the entire family I was failing college. When I wasn't, this was different than the other times. This was a lie, not just a spin, and I was done accepting it. I made a plan. Finals were in 2 weeks. After that, grades would post. I'd finish the semester, get my official transcript, and bring it home for the family Memorial Day gathering. Mom couldn't spin an official document. First, I needed to secure my grades. I already had A's confirmed in 3 classes. My remaining 2 finals were in subjects I was strong in, psychology and international relations. I studied like my reputation depended on it, which it did. I also reached out to my advisor, Dr. Patterson, and requested a letter confirming my academic standing. She was confused by the request, but agreed. "You're one of our strongest students, Quinn. Is everything okay?" I explained the situation. She looked horrified. "Your mother told your family you're failing, based on our conversation about internships?" Yes, that's completely inappropriate. I'll write that letter today. And Quinn, I'm documenting this conversation. If your mother calls here again claiming to be concerned about your academics, I'll be correcting that narrative immediately. It felt good having someone in authority validate my reality. Second, I reached out to both internship programs I'd been considering and accepted one, a summer position with a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. focused on education policy. It was prestigious, competitive, and paid. Proof of success, not failure. Finals week was brutal, but I powered through. My psychology exam was comprehensive but fair. I felt good about it. International Relations was an essay exam on global governance structures. I'd written 2 practice essays and felt prepared. When I walked out of my last final, I felt confident, not arrogant, just genuinely sure I'd done well. Grades posted 4 days later. Psychology. A. International Relations. A. Literature. A. Statistics. A. Philosophy. A. Final GPA. 3.87. Dean's List confirmed for the 3rd consecutive semester. I screenshot everything, saved my official transcript as a PDF, and printed Dr. Patterson's letter. Then I called Nora. I have ammunition. Good. What's your plan? Memorial Day gathering. The whole family will be there. Mom always makes a speech thanking everyone for coming. This year, I'm making one too. Quinn, are you sure? This is going to be nuclear. She made it nuclear when she lied about me to everyone I care about. I'm just correcting the record. The 3 weeks until Memorial Day felt endless. Mom called twice, asking how I was holding up, her voice dripping with concerned parent performance. I know this semester was hard for you, sweetheart, but there's no shame in struggling. We all love you no matter what. I didn't correct her. I just said, thanks, Mom. See you Memorial Day. The Memorial Day gathering was at our house, like always. 50 family members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. Mom loved hosting, loved being the center of attention, loved the performance of perfect family. I arrived early to help set up. Mom hugged me, looking me over with exaggerated concern. How are you feeling, honey? I know the semester was difficult. I'm great, actually. You don't have to pretend with me. I know things didn't go the way you hoped. My jaw clenched. Mom, we should talk about what you told everyone. Not now, Quinn. We have guests arriving. Classic deflection. Relatives started arriving around noon. Each one gave me sympathetic looks or gentle pats on the shoulder. Aunt Viv. Don't worry, dear. College isn't for everyone, Uncle Brandon. Plenty of successful people took time off to find themselves. Cousin Leah. I struggled sophomore year too. You're not alone. None of them had asked me directly about my grades. They just absorbed Mom's narrative. I smiled, nodded, and waited. After dinner, as planned, Mom clinked her glass to get everyone's attention for her annual speech. I want to thank everyone for coming today. Family is everything, especially during difficult times. This year has had its challenges. She glanced at me meaningfully. This was my moment. And I'm grateful we can support each other through struggles and setbacks. Mom's voice was warm, martyred. Some of us are dealing with disappointments, and it's important we show love and patience. I stood up. Every eye turned to me. Mom, can I say something? She looked surprised but pleased, probably thinking I was going to thank her for her support. Of course, honey. I pulled out my folder and walked to the front of the room. I want to clear something up. A few weeks ago, Mom told everyone I was failing college, that I was struggling and might need to take time off. Uncomfortable silence. That isn't true. It's never been true. I held up my transcript. This is my official transcript. This semester I earned a 3.87 gigapascals. That's 4 A's and 1 A minus. I made Dean's List for the 3rd consecutive semester. I passed the transcript to my grandmother, who studied it with widening eyes. I also received this letter from my academic advisor, confirming I'm in good standing and am one of the department's strongest students. Pass that to Aunt Viv. And finally, I accepted a competitive internship for this summer. with an education policy nonprofit in Washington, D.C. They selected me from over 200 applicants. The room was dead silent. All eyes moved from me to Mom. Her face was pale, then flushed deep red. Mom tried to recover. "Quinn, I think there's been a misunderstanding. When your advisor called me, she expressed concerns." "She didn't express concerns. She was helping me choose between 2 internship offers. I was crying because I was overwhelmed by having good options, not because I was failing." Aunt Viv looked at the letter, then at Mom. "This letter says Quinn is exceptional." "I must have misunderstood the conversation," Mom stammered. "But I was worried, and I thought, you told 50 people I was failing when I wasn't." I interrupted, my voice steady. "You didn't ask me about my grades. You didn't verify anything. You just created a narrative where I was struggling and you were the concerned mother managing my crisis." Uncle Brandon spoke up. "Is this true, Patricia? You said Quinn was having serious academic problems." "I thought she was." "Her advisor called, and Quinn sounded stressed when we talked." "I sounded stressed because you were pressuring me about coming home more often," I said. "Not because of school." Grandma stood up, holding my transcript. "Patricia, this is unacceptable. Why would you tell us Quinn was failing when she clearly isn't?" Mom looked trapped, her carefully constructed narrative crumbling. "I was trying to help. I thought if the family knew she was struggling, we could support her." "By embarrassing her?" Grandma's voice was sharp. "By making everyone think she's failing when she's excelling?" The gathering dissolved into uncomfortable small conversations. Groups of relatives huddled, looking at my transcript, reading Dr. Patterson's letter, discussing what had just happened. Mom retreated to the kitchen. A few loyal relatives followed to comfort her, but most stayed in the living room, processing. Aunt Viv approached me. "Quinn, I owe you an apology. I should have asked you directly about your grades instead of just accepting what your mother said." "Thank you." Uncle Brandon shook his head. "I'm confused. Why would Patricia do this?" "Because she needs me to need her," I said quietly. "If I'm successful and independent, she loses control of the narrative." Cousin Leah hugged me. "That's twisted." "I'm sorry I believed her without checking." Over the next hour, more relatives apologized. Some were angry at Mom, others were just confused. But everyone now knew the truth. Later, I found Mom in the kitchen, alone. She looked small, defeated. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "Humiliate me in front of everyone?" "I didn't humiliate you. I corrected a lie you told. I thought I was helping. By telling people I'm failing? How is that helpful?" She didn't answer. "Mom, why can't you just be proud of me? Why do you always have to diminish my achievements or create problems that don't exist?" Mom's eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand what it's like. You're so independent, so capable. You don't need me anymore." "That's not true." "I do need you, but I need you to be supportive, not controlling. I need you to celebrate my successes, not undermine them." I wasn't undermining. I was worried. "You were creating worry where none existed. That's different." She looked away. "Everyone's going to think I'm a terrible mother." "You're not a terrible mother, but you did a terrible thing. And instead of apologizing, you're making it about how this affects you." Silence stretched between us. "I think you should apologize to the family," I said. "Tell them you made a mistake. Acknowledge that I'm doing well. That's all I'm asking. And if I don't? Then everyone will draw their own conclusions about why you lied." She flinched at the word lied, but didn't argue. The party ended early. People left in clusters, still discussing what had happened. Grandma hugged me tightly before leaving. "You did the right thing, Quinn. Standing up for yourself isn't disrespectful. It's necessary." "Thanks, Grandma. And your mother needs to learn that your success isn't a threat to her. It's a reflection of good parenting. She should be celebrating you, not competing with you." After everyone left, Mom and I cleaned up in silence. The house felt heavy with unresolved tension. That night I stayed in my childhood bedroom, too tired to drive back to campus. Around midnight, Mom knocked on my door. "Can we talk?" Sure. She sat on the edge of my bed, looking older and more vulnerable than I'd seen her. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what specifically? For telling everyone you were struggling when you weren't. For not checking with you first. She paused, for needing you to need me so badly that I created a crisis that didn't exist. It was more honest than I'd expected. Why do you do that? She was quiet for a long time. When you kids were little, I was essential. You needed me for everything. But as you've grown up, especially you've become so self-sufficient. And I started feeling invisible. I'm not trying to make you invisible. I know, but that's how it feels. You solve your own problems, make your own decisions. You don't ask for my input or advice, and I think I started creating problems so you'd need me to help fix them. It was sad and twisted but finally honest. Mom, I do need you. But I need you as support, not as a manager. I need you to be proud when I succeed, not to undermine it. I am proud. I don't know how to show it without feeling like I'm losing you. We talked until 2 a.m., having the most honest conversation we'd had in years. She admitted this pattern had been going on since I was in middle school, and she'd never examined why. Your success should make me happy, she said, and it does. But it also terrifies me because it means you don't need me the way you used to. Needing you and being capable aren't mutually exclusive. I can be successful and still value your role in my life. I'm starting to see that. The next morning, Mom sent a message to the family group chat. I owe everyone an apology. I made a serious error in judgment regarding Quinn's academic situation. She is not struggling. She's thriving. I let my own anxieties cloud my judgment and created a narrative that wasn't true. Quinn is on Dean's list, has a 3.87 gigapascals, and has secured a competitive internship. I'm proud of her and sorry for any confusion or concern I caused. The responses were a mix of relief, forgiveness, and some residual confusion. But the truth was now on record. Over breakfast, Mom asked about my internship. Real questions. Genuine interest. What will you be doing in D.C.? Education policy research, mostly. Some legislative analysis. That sounds impressive and competitive. It is. I'm really excited about it. She smiled, and for the first time in years, it looked genuine. I'm proud of you, Quinn. Really proud. It felt good to hear. The rest of the summer unfolded better than I'd expected. The D.C. internship was challenging and rewarding. I worked with smart, driven people on projects that actually mattered. Mom and I talked weekly. The conversations were different now, more equal. She asked about my work, listened to my experiences, and offered support without trying to manage or control. In July, she even visited me in D.C. for a weekend. We toured museums, had dinner at nice restaurants, and talked like adults. I've been thinking about what you said, she mentioned over dinner. About celebrating your success instead of feeling threatened by it. Yeah? I think I was afraid that if you became too successful, you'd leave and never come back. That you wouldn't need family anymore. Success doesn't make me love you less, Mom. It just changes how we relate to each other. She nodded. I'm learning that. Slowly. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. When I returned home in August before my junior year, the family dynamic had shifted. At a birthday party for my cousin, relatives asked me about D.C., about my internship, about my plans. Mom stood nearby, listening. When Aunt Viv said, Patricia, you must be so proud. Mom smiled and said simply, I am. Quinn is doing remarkable things. No qualifiers, no diminishing, just pride. I caught her eye and smiled. She smiled back. Junior year started with confidence I hadn't felt before. The confrontation at Memorial Day had been brutal, but necessary. It had forced honesty where there had only been dysfunction. My classes were challenging. Advanced political theory, international human rights law, economics of development. I loved all of it. In October, I applied for a semester abroad program in Brussels, studying EU policy and international relations. When I told Mom, I braced for resistance or concern trolling. Instead, she said, "That sounds amazing. What an incredible opportunity. You're not worried I'm taking on too much? Are you worried about that?" "No, I feel ready." "Then I trust your judgment." It was such a simple exchange, but it meant everything. The change in her wasn't complete or perfect, but it was real. She was learning to let me be successful without feeling diminished by it. In November, I came home for Thanksgiving. The family gathering was smaller, just immediate family and grandparents. After dinner, Grandma pulled me aside. "I'm proud of how you handled that situation in May. It took courage." "Thanks, Grandma. And I'm proud of your mother too for actually listening and changing. That takes a different kind of courage." I looked across the room, where Mom was laughing with my younger brother. She looked lighter, less burdened. "Yeah," I agreed, "it does." December brought finals again, and with them, another strong semester, 3.92 gigapascals. I sent Mom my grades, not because I had to, but because I wanted to share. Her response, "Outstanding, Quinn. You should be so proud of yourself." I know I am. Simple, supportive, genuine. When I came home for winter break, I noticed more changes. Mom asked questions but didn't interrogate. She offered suggestions but didn't insist. She celebrated my achievements without making them about her. One evening we were wrapping Christmas presents together when she said, "I've been seeing a therapist." "Really?" After Memorial Day, I realized I needed help, understanding why I kept undermining you. "We've been working on it." "How's it going?" "Hard, but good." "I'm learning that my worth isn't determined by how much my kids need me. That I can have identity and value even as you become more independent." "That's really insightful, Mom. I'm trying, because I don't want to damage our relationship anymore." "You're an incredible person, Quinn, and I want to celebrate that, not compete with it." We hugged and I felt the last bit of resentment dissolve. She was trying, really trying. And that was all I'd ever wanted. Christmas was peaceful. No drama, no narrative control, just family being together without dysfunction. On Christmas Eve, we played board games, and Mom actually lost gracefully instead of making excuses. Progress. In January, I received acceptance to the Brussels Semester Abroad program. I'd be studying EU policy and international law from March through July. It was prestigious, selective, and exactly what I wanted. I called Mom immediately. "I got in. Brussels." "Quinn, that's fantastic. Oh my God, Europe, this is huge." Her excitement was genuine, unqualified, no concerns about safety or suggestions that I stay closer to home. Just pure celebration. "I'm so excited." And a little scared. "Of course you are. It's a big step, but you're ready for it." "Thanks, Mom." "For supporting this. Always. You've earned every opportunity you've gotten. I'm just grateful I get to watch you thrive." That night, she posted in the family group chat, "Exciting news. Quinn has been accepted to a semester abroad program in Brussels studying EU policy and international law. So proud of her accomplishments." The responses flooded in. Congratulations, excitement, pride. No qualifiers, no concerns, just celebration. "Aunt Viv, incredible. You must be over the moon, Patricia." "Mom, I am." Quinn continues to amaze us. It was such a stark contrast to the Memorial Day message. Same family, same me, completely different narrative. Because Mom had changed how she framed my success. She'd stopped seeing it as a threat and started seeing it as something to celebrate. In February, right before I left for Brussels, Mom threw me a small going-away party. Just close family and a few friends. She gave a short speech. "Quinn has worked incredibly hard to get here. Brussels is just the beginning of what I know will be a remarkable career. I'm proud to be her mom." Brussels was transformative. I studied at a program affiliated with multiple EU institutions, taking classes on European integration, human rights frameworks, and comparative policy. My cohort included students from 12 countries. We debated, collaborated, and challenged each other. I interned part-time at a think tank focusing on migration policy. The work was complex, nuanced, and directly relevant to real-world problems. I was in my element. Mom and I video chatted weekly. She asked thoughtful questions about my classes and internship. She shared updates from home. The conversations felt balanced, mutual. In April, I had the opportunity to attend a policy conference in Geneva. I mentioned it casually to Mom and she immediately said, "You should go." What an experience! It's expensive, and I'd have to take a few days off from my internship. Quinn, don't talk yourself out of opportunities because of logistics. If this matters to you, figure out how to make it work. I went to Geneva. The conference was incredible. Policymakers, academics, and practitioners discussing global governance challenges. I networked, asked questions, and felt like I belonged in these spaces. I sent Mom photos from the conference. She responded, "You look so confident and professional. This is your world, Quinn. I'm in awe." When I returned to Brussels, I had a new clarity about my future. I wanted to work in international policy, specifically around education, access, and human rights. It felt right, aligned, purposeful. In May, my Brussels program culminated in a policy simulation where we role-played EU member states negotiating a climate agreement. I represented Portugal, which required me to balance economic development concerns with environmental commitments. The simulation was intense, lasting 2 full days. When it ended, our professor pulled me aside. "Quinn, that was exceptional diplomacy. Have you considered graduate work in international relations?" "I'm thinking about it. You should. You have the analytical skills and the temperament for this work. Stay in touch." I sent Mom a message about the professor's feedback. She responded immediately. "This is what you were meant to do. I'm so glad you're finding your path." Her support felt different than it would have years before. It wasn't performative or controlling. It was genuine pride in watching me become who I was meant to be. I returned home in late July, tan and exhausted and deeply fulfilled. Mom picked me up from the airport and hugged me tight. "Tell me everything." We talked for hours. About Brussels, about my classes, about the friends I'd made, about the policy work I wanted to pursue. She listened intently, asked great questions, and never once tried to redirect or diminish. "You've grown so much," she said. "Not just academically, but as a person. You're so sure of yourself." "I learned that from you, actually." She looked surprised. "From me?" "Yeah. Watching you change this past year. Admit you were wrong. Go to therapy. Genuinely try to be different. That took more courage than anything I've done. You showed me that growth is always possible." Senior year was a whirlwind. Graduate school applications, thesis research, final classes, and job hunting. Mom was supportive throughout, offering to proofread essays, listening to my anxieties, celebrating small victories. In October, I applied to graduate programs: Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, Fletcher School at Tufts, Georgetown School of Foreign Service, and several others. The applications were grueling, but Mom checked in regularly without being overbearing. "How's the application going?" "Stressful, but good." "Anything I can do to help?" Just being supportive is enough. And she was. She'd learned that support didn't mean control. It meant presence without pressure. In December, I got my first acceptance. Fletcher School at Tufts, with full funding for a master's in international relations. I called Mom screaming, "I got in! Full funding! Quinn! Oh my God!" She was crying, genuinely overcome. "I'm so proud of you. So proud." More acceptances followed. By February, I had offers from 4 programs, all with significant funding. It was an embarrassment of riches. At a family dinner, Uncle Brandon asked about my graduate plans. Before I could answer, Mom jumped in. "Quinn has been accepted to 4 top programs with funding. She's trying to decide between Fletcher, SACE, and Georgetown. She's incredibly accomplished. No qualifiers. No concerns about debt or job prospects, just pride. Aunt Viv smiled. That's wonderful, Patricia. You must be thrilled. I am. Quinn has worked so hard for this. She deserves every opportunity she's getting. In March, I chose Fletcher School at Tufts. The program, the funding, and the location all felt right. When I told Mom, she hugged me and said, "Perfect choice. When do you start?" "August. After graduation." She nodded. "Then we have a few months to enjoy having you home before you start the next adventure." Graduation in May was emotional. Mom and Dad, my brother, grandparents, and several relatives attended. When they called my name, Quinn Mitchell, Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, I heard Mom scream louder than anyone. At the reception afterward, she introduced me to relatives. "This is Quinn. She just graduated magna cum laude, and she's going to Fletcher for her master's in international relations. No caveats, no diminishing, just pride." Grandma pulled me aside. "I'm glad you and your mother worked things out." "Me too. She's learned something important, that loving you means celebrating you, not controlling you. That's a hard lesson for some parents. She did the work though, that's what matters. You both did. You had the courage to confront her, and she had the courage to change. That's rare, Quinn. That's special. The summer before graduate school, I spent time at home, working a temporary job, and preparing for the move to Boston. Mom and I had easy, comfortable days together. We cooked, watched movies, talked about everything and nothing. One evening in July, Mom asked if we could talk. We sat on the back porch with iced tea, watching the sunset. "I want to tell you something," she said. "I've been thinking a lot about Memorial Day 2 years ago." "Okay." "I was so angry at you that day. Angry that you'd embarrassed me. Angry that you'd exposed me. I felt betrayed." "I know, but you were right to do it. I was lying, and you called me out. And that moment, as awful as it was, changed everything for me." She looked at me. "It forced me to see what I was doing, how I was treating you. And it gave me a choice. Keep doing it, and lose you, or change, and maybe rebuild our relationship. You chose to change, because losing you wasn't an option. And I realized that my need to control your narrative was going to push you away permanently. I didn't want that. I didn't want that either. I know I'm not perfect at this. I still sometimes feel that impulse to manage or control, but I'm aware of it now, and I'm working on it. That's all I ever wanted. Just awareness and effort." She smiled. "You're going to do amazing things, Quinn, in graduate school, in your career, in life. And I want you to know that I see you, really see you, and I'm proud of every single thing you accomplish. Thanks, Mom. That means everything." Moving to Boston in August was bittersweet. I was excited for graduate school, but sad to leave the good place Mom and I had reached. The night before I left, she helped me pack final items. "Remember to call when you get there, and text regularly." And, "Mom," I interrupted gently. "I know." "I will." She laughed. "Sorry, still learning to let go. You're doing great. The drive to Boston the next day was long but good." Mom and Dad helped me move into my tiny apartment near campus, set up furniture, and stock the kitchen. Before they left, Mom hugged me tightly. "I love you, Quinn." "Go be brilliant." "Love you too, Mom." After they left, I stood in my new apartment, surrounded by boxes and possibilities. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "So proud of you. Always have been, even when I didn't show it well. Excited to watch this next chapter." I smiled and responded, "Thanks for growing with me. Love you." Fletcher was challenging from day one. The coursework was rigorous, my cohort was competitive, and the expectations were high. I loved it. I studied international security, development economics, and diplomatic history. I joined study groups, attended lectures, and networked with practitioners. Mom and I talked weekly, and the conversations were easy now. She asked about my classes, I shared struggles and successes. She offered support without trying to manage. In October, I presented at a student conference on education policy and conflict zones. I sent Mom the video. Her response: Quinn, this is incredible. Your analysis, your presence, everything. You're exactly where you belong. The first year of graduate school flew by. In spring, I secured a summer internship with USAID, working on education programming in developing countries. It was exactly the experience I needed for my career goals. When I told Mom, she said, "Of course you got it. You're perfect for that work. It's going to be intense." 10 weeks in D.C. Long hours, steep learning curve. You thrive on intense. You always have. She was right. The internship was demanding but rewarding. I worked on project design, monitoring and evaluation frameworks, and policy analysis. My supervisor was impressed enough to write a recommendation for future opportunities. I spent a weekend in my hometown in July. Between the end of the internship and the start of second year, the family had a barbecue, and relatives asked about graduate school. Mom let me tell my own stories, adding only supportive comments. "Quinn's doing incredible work," she'd say. "She's going to change the world." No exaggeration, no diminishing, just genuine belief. Later, Aunt Viv pulled me aside. "Your mother has really changed." "I know. I'm proud of both of you. You for standing up for yourself, and her for actually listening and growing. That's rare." Second year of graduate school brought thesis research, comprehensive exams, and job searching. The pressure was intense. I had moments of doubt, calls home where I questioned if I was good enough, smart enough, ready enough. Mom was steady through all of it. "You are enough, Quinn. You've always been enough. Don't let imposter syndrome steal your confidence." In spring of second year, I defended my thesis on education access in post-conflict societies. The defense was rigorous, with tough questions from my committee. When it ended, my advisor said, "Congratulations, Quinn. This is strong work with real policy implications. Have you considered publishing it?" I had. With Mom's encouragement, I revised the thesis and submitted it to a policy journal. It was accepted for publication that summer. When I told Mom, she cried. "Published, Quinn! You're 24, and you're a published researcher!" "It's just one article, Mom. It's not just anything. It's proof that your ideas matter. That people want to hear what you have to say." Her pride was uncomplicated, unqualified. It felt amazing. Graduation from Fletcher was smaller than undergrad, but no less meaningful. Master of Arts in International Relations, thesis honors. Mom and Dad attended, along with Grandma and a few relatives. When I walked across the stage, Mom's cheer was the loudest in the auditorium. At dinner afterward, she toasted, "To Quinn, who has accomplished more by 24 than most people do in a lifetime. We're in awe of you, and grateful to be part of your journey." The family clinked glasses, and I felt surrounded by genuine support. This was what I'd been fighting for all along. Not empty praise, but real recognition of real accomplishments from people who mattered. After graduation, I accepted a position with an international NGO focused on education in emergency settings. The job was based in D.C., with frequent travel to field offices. It was everything I'd been working toward. Before starting my new job, I spent a week at home. Mom and I had coffee on the back porch, like we'd done so many times before. "I've been thinking about Memorial Day," I said. "The one where I confronted you?" "Yeah. What about it?" "I think it saved our relationship. If I hadn't forced that confrontation, we'd still be stuck in that dysfunctional pattern. You'd still be undermining me, I'd still be resentful, and eventually we'd have stopped talking altogether." She nodded slowly. "You're probably right. But because I stood up for myself, and because you actually listened and changed, we have this," I gestured between us. "An honest, supportive, adult relationship. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful you had the courage to call me out. Even though it was humiliating in the moment, it was what I needed. We both needed it." She smiled. "You know what I've learned? That my job as your mother isn't to keep you small or dependent. It's to help you become the biggest, most capable version of yourself. And then to celebrate that person. You're doing that now. I'm trying. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the backyard where I'd grown up. So much had changed since that disastrous Memorial Day gathering, but it had all changed for the better. If only I'd known earlier that standing up for myself wasn't selfish, it was necessary. That the truth, even when painful, is always better than comfortable lies, and that real love doesn't diminish you to make others feel bigger. Real love celebrates your light, even when it shines brighter than expected. That's what I'd learned. That's what Mom had learned too. And that made all the confrontation, all the awkwardness, all the difficult conversations worth it. Because on the other side was something better. Mutual respect, genuine pride, and a relationship built on truth instead of control. That was worth fighting for. That was worth everything.